I swear to God, I forget this every single time I come to Colorado. I left my home in Los Angeles just over 2 weeks ago for a 6-week trip across the US West with stops in Utah and Colorado. I am usually a very good and very light packer, but I will admit that this time I was flustered and I was just throwing things in the car. So now that I'm a little bit more settled at one of my destinations, I wanted to do a quick 5 things with you that's actually going to be 10 things. 5 sort of unusual things that I brought with me that I'm really glad I did, and 5 more things that I really wish I had brought. Let's get into it. So the first thing I brought with me that I'm really glad I did is my cat. I don't know if you've ever traveled with a cat before, but cats are not the best road trip partners. Mine, however, is starting to get used to it. He spent most of the drive either sitting on my lap, curled up on the passenger seat, or inside his cat carrier. I was a little stressed at the beginning, but not so much once we really got going. And here, now that we're settled into an Airbnb, he's just made himself at home. And it helps me feel at home. When I go out and come back to this place that's my temporary home, seeing my cat in the window of my house feels so welcoming. Now, I don't always travel with my cat unless I am taking a very long road trip, something that's over a month long. So this isn't a really usual thing for me, but to have him with me is just a little bit of an extra treat. And it was definitely worth all of the extra planning and being careful to book pet-friendly accommodations and things like that along the way. The second thing that I'm really glad I brought with me is my favorite coffee cup. There's just something about drinking coffee out of my favorite cup that feels better than drinking it out of a stranger's cup. It feels good in my hand, and I think that it makes my coffee taste better. Number 3 is actually 2 things, and that's my pillow and my duvet. Okay, yeah, it may be overkill to bring your own duvet with you when you're staying in furnished apartments, but I know that different people like different kinds of blankets on top of them when they go to sleep. And I had noticed in the pictures of this Airbnb that the bed had a lovely quilted bedspread on it, but I knew that that wouldn't be as cozy for me as having my own fluffy duvet. That's just what I'm used to sleeping with. So I brought that along. I also brought my favorite throw blanket and my own pillow. And you wouldn't believe what a difference just having those basic linens of my own make to my comfort and my feeling of belonging here. Number 4, a thing that I definitely would not have brought with me if I'd been flying, is my collapsible drying rack. I've already used this thing multiple times in washing my delicate clothes and hanging them up to dry. It's useful both in situations like the one I'm in now, where I do have access to a washer and dryer, but I don't want to dry the most delicate of my clothes, and situations like being in a hotel and needing to wash something quickly in the sink and having a place for it to dry. This keeps me from having clothes hung up willy-nilly all over the place, and it really didn't take up that much space in my car, so I think that it was worth it to throw it in. And last but not least, I do not go anywhere without my collapsible jewelry tray. Having this snappable tray is for sure a luxury, but it takes up 0 space in your suitcase. And it goes a long way towards keeping everything in a place where you know where it is. So when I take off my bracelets at night, they go straight into that jewelry tray. My glasses go in that tray. My keys are dropped in there. I know exactly where everything is. And that helps a lot for a forgetful person in a house where I don't have my established routines. I know in my old house where my keys are going to be set. In this house, I don't have that place yet. So carrying that place with me makes all the difference in the world. What about those things though that I did not bring with me? I thought about throwing some of these in my suitcase and decided they were overkill. And now that I'm here, I kind of wish that I had. On that list, number 1 with a bullet is my espresso maker. This is not a small machine, you guys. It's sizable. It takes up a full corner of my counter at my house in Los Angeles. But it would have fit in the car, and I just really would like to have it here. This is the way I make coffee. This has been the way I've made coffee for 3 years. And my coffee doesn't taste the same coming out of a drip pot. It doesn't even taste the same coming out of the French press that I brought. I know that this machine is huge and it would take up so much space in my car. And it's probably absurd to have even thought about bringing it. But wow, do I wish I'd brought it. Number 2, and I can't believe I forgot this, but I did not bring my iPad mini with me. My iPad mini is my e-reader. It's what I use to check books out of the library, to buy digital books, and also to play like word games like the New York Times digital games. And that's really all that I use that iPad for. I'm not sure why I didn't put it in my bag. I usually always travel with it, but for some reason, I had been bringing some physical books with me and I thought, oh, I don't really need that this trip, and I regret it. I am glad that I brought real books with me, and I've been making an effort to spend more time reading in analog because I do feel like that makes a difference in how my brain processes things. But there are times when you just really want to have access to the wide array of books that you can get into an e-reader. And well, I brought with me some books that were good for my brain. I kind of wish I had access to the mental junk food as well. Number 3 is something that I brought on my last trip to Denver, and I'm not sure why I didn't throw it in this time, but that is my oil diffuser. Again, this is something pretty small, but it's large enough that I would really only consider it for a road trip, not if I was flying somewhere. But when you're staying long-term at someone else's house, something like an Airbnb, a lot of other people have stayed there before you. And these places, even if they don't stink, they don't smell like home. And I found on my last trip that having my oil diffuser there, diffusing the same essential oils that I do at home, made the spot more comfortable for me. Again, it's a really small thing and it's subtle, but it's something that sets you at ease mentally. And I know eventually that I will get used to the smell of this house, that it will start to take on the scent of, my cooking and my shampoo and my soap, whatever I have here with me. But it's not going to be immediate, and I suspect that it will probably start to set in as being much more comfortable right about the time I'm ready to leave. Number 4, I swear to God, I forget this every single time I come to Colorado. But once again, I did not bring lip balm. It's dry here, you guys. It is drier in Utah, where I spent last week, and it's even drier up in the high country, in the mountains, and it will only get drier as heating season starts over the next month. So I found myself at a Walmart where I end up stopping a lot because there are charging stations for my electric car, and I bought all the lip balms. This isn't even all of them. I wish that I hadn't had to do that because I had plenty of lip balms at home. But the last time I traveled out into the desert and the Rockies, my lips got so chapped, and I do not want that to happen again. So now I have enough lip balms for them to be within arm's reach wherever I am. There's one in every bag I own. I always have one in my pocket. There's a couple in my car. Yeah, it's overkill. And I wouldn't have probably done this if I had just packed some to begin with, but this should be a staple on my packing list every time I leave home. Last but not least, I wish I'd brought a lightweight day pack. I brought my trusty laptop backpack with me. I love this bag. I carry this bag all the time. However, this was not the right bag to take out horseback riding with me. It worked fine. I just would have preferred something a little bit lighter and a little bit more aligned to the idea of being out in the outdoors. This has a lot of unnecessary padding. The zippers weren't in the most convenient place. This is an urban backpack, and on the kind of trip I'm on, I really wish that I had more of an exploration, hiking, horsing kind of backpack with me. There have just been times when that kind of a bag would have been better suited to the activities. Now, that's not to say this backpack didn't do the trick, and if I had been flying on an airplane, I would have been fine using this, but I did drop my beautiful city backpack in the mud and end up having to clean it off. And I did have to unpack all of my electronics and everything out of it in order to use it for another purpose. They make travel backpacks that are very lightweight, that roll up into a very small footprint. And I think that it might be worth investing in one of those for future trips. Even better if it were something that I could just throw in the laundry to clean. Then I wouldn't worry about getting it dirty or muddy or taking it out into the backcountry. So that's where I'm at 2 weeks into this voyage. Another 4 weeks to go, and I'm sure I will have more lists for you in the coming weeks. But in the meantime, let me know down in the comments something that you always travel with that other people might not think of, or something that you really wish you had brought on a recent trip. And until next time, I'm wishing you love and joy and all those good things, and I can't wait to talk to you again.